Hello everybody and welcome to this webinar on the colour tool. Firstly, thank you very much for all joining us today. I'm Martin from support and I will be joined today by...
Hi there, I'm Karen and I'm working in the background helping to answer your questions today. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A tab, which is at the bottom, and Martin should have a screenshot to help locate it. There we go. And also, if you have a question, make sure it is on topic. That makes it, keeps everything streamlined for today's webinar. And so I'll see you later and enjoy it.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Right, just to reiterate again what Karen just said there about trying to keep it on topic if we can. As you know, these are all recorded, so if we can keep questions to the colour tool, that would be great. Obviously, when people are finding these webinars to use as reference, we don't want to be speaking about lots of other things. Anyway, I will shut up and we'll start on the webinar. Right, so this is all about the colour tool. Okay, so first things first, where do you find it? Well, it's found in the skin editor. We open up skin editor, you'll see I've got a blank canvas here, and we see the colour tool icon is there. Okay, now the colour tool can be used to colorize, if that's a word, various elements. I can draw a rectangle and a text box. Here we go. If I don't select anything and click the colour tool, you'll see that it shows me all the colours that are available for me to change. Okay, if I deleted those and put something in like a container which doesn't have a border or doesn't have a background, so it has no colours at all, if I select that and select the colour tool, it tells me that there is nothing selected that can be colorizable. Okay, cool. So that's basically where it is and how to find it. Other things that we can use or can be colorized with it, as we've just seen, you can't do a container, but you can do a rectangle. Reason being, if we have a look at the rectangle's properties, you can see it's got a background color and a border color. So if I was to select that in the color tree and select the color tree, the file tree, or the tree even, and select the color tool, you'll see that we can see the two colors available for us to change. If I expand on those, you'll see that we have the rectangle element border and the rectangle element background, and they are black and white. If I want to change one, I can just double click whichever color, select a new color, click OK, apply, and we now have a green border. Okay, so that's basically how easy this is to use, but as I say, my main area of concern right now is what can be colored. So as an example, if I go to the text box and select, let's just change this back to black, I think. So let's just do that. So that's my border back to black. If I select both of those elements and open up the color tool, you'll see that I've got the black and white because the text box text is black. Let's expand that and expand the other color here, so the white, so you can see I've got the rectangle border, and that is for both the text box and the rectangle. Sorry, the rectangle border, and we've got the rectangle the text element border, and then we've got the text element text. So this has got black text. So this is the same color for all of those elements. Okay, and we can do things like change and chop and colorize all of those at once or individually. All right, but before we go there, I just want to say, right, so that's just the rectangle and text box. Another thing we can colorize is an SVG graphic. So if I click on SVG and click into the skin editor, I can now select an SVG graphic. Now if I select this SVG, okay, I made this in Photoshop. With it selected, I can open up the color tool, and you can see that this is comprised of a SVG element stroke and SVG element fill. So I can double click, change the color, click OK, apply, boom, we've colored an SVG. But the reason why I wanted to show you this in particular is because not all SVGs are SVGs or proper SVGs or true SVGs or whatever SVGs they are, but they're not genuine SVGs. And I do have one of these. It's the info button. Now again, this was made in Photoshop, but this had a drop shadow, and that's not supported. I still exported it as an SVG image. So by rights, I've added it as an SVG. It looks like an SVG. It appears to be an SVG, but when I click on it, there are no colorizable elements in this particular graphic. So that's another thing. There's a lot of websites out there where you can, download SVGs, or in particular, you can upload a PNG that you make in Photoshop and hit a button and it converts it to SVG for you and you download it. You now think you've got a genuine SVG. No, what it is actually that PNG inside an SVG wrapper, which is exactly what's going on here. So it appears to be an SVG, but sadly it's not. And it will still, lose its sharpness, because at the end of the day, it is still a PNG inside. Okay, so they are the, so in this sort of particular section, what I wanted to do was just show you what can and cannot be colorized. Okay, so that's that. So here we go. We've got the two SVGs there, one that can and one that can't. Okay, so let's get rid of everything from the skin. Now, using the color tool, well, you've just seen me use it. So again, let's just grab some text, some rectangles. I'm just going to grab 3. All right, and we're going to see how we can use the color tool. So if I don't select anything and select the color tool, it will show me all the colors available in the skin to be colorized. So if I open it up and we expand, you can see I've got the rectangle element border. This will actually affect all of them. All right, so if I change the color, just double click, select a color, click OK, apply, all 3 change its color. Now the interesting thing is, if I select the middle one and change the border, or the border to say red, okay. Again, I'm not going to select anything in the color tree, excuse me. Oh, little cough. What will happen now is that the color tool will select all the different colors again in the skin. But if I expand on this so we can see what we've got a rectangle border, it's green, a rectangle border that's red, and then we've obviously got the rectangle backgrounds. Now all of these are white, so that one white there represents all 3 of these. But the interesting thing here is if I change this color to green, all right, the same as the other 2, and click apply, now open up the color tool again, you'll see we're back to only showing 2 colors, because they are the only colors available. All right, so there's a thing is, if you've got a slightly different color element and you change it to something else, then that individual colorization bar here, if you like, the actual color bar will change, and it will include in with another element of the same color. So that's another thing that you've got to think about. Okay, so other things that we can color then. So if I go into the background of this particular rectangle, let's make it this burgundy color, and again open up the color tool, you'll see that we have all the colors available. So we've got the burgundy of the background for that rectangle, and we've got the greens of the borders. Okay, what we can also do is I can select an individual element. So if I select that one and open up the color tool, I'm now only colorizing that one element. So with nothing selected, I'm going to colorize everything, and with just one element selected, we can colorize that one element. So I can return this back to white. Here we go, and apply. And again, if I was not to select anything, so I'll open it up again, we're back just to the 2 colors, the green and the white. And again, if I double click on the green, turn it back to black, and we were back where we started. Okay, all right. I'm going to add another element. I'm going to add a text box, because this is quite interesting, because the text box is a bit like a rectangle, but with text in it. So again, if I don't select anything and open up the color tool, you'll see that I've now got text element borders, or text element text, text element borders, and rectangle borders. Now the thing is, if you double click and change the color of the top bar, yeah, let's do that to green, that affects all of them. So if I now apply that, everything black is now green. Okay. if I go back to the skin and go back to the color tool, I can open that up, and what I can do now is I can individually select colors. If you click on them, you see I get a little tick, so that's what's selected. So I've selected the rectangle border, and if I hold down the command key, I can select the text element border, double click, and let's change those back to black. That's leaving the text element text to green. So there you go, I can do that as well. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of control. That's basically color tool, where to find it, and what elements can be colorized. Going to throw it open. Do we have any questions or not?
No, we don't have any questions quite yet. So just a reminder, if you have a question, don't be shy. Use the Q&A tab, and we'll get to you.
Excellent. Right. Okay. I'll move on then. So we now know we can colorize different things, and we can colorize SVGs. All right. What I want to show you is a nice little trick. Sometimes it's said that Panel 2VR only ships with 2 sets of buttons, the silhouette and the simplex and blah 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 and whatnot. But if you use the color tool, you can completely transform the look of, say, the simplex or the silhouettes. So as an example, I'm going to open up the components toolbox. I'm going to grab the next and previous buttons and add those to the skin. All right, now these are our silhouette buttons, and here they are. Cool. If I wanted to change these, as an example, I'm going to draw a rectangle. So I'm going to set the rectangle to be anchored bottom left, 0 pixels and 0 pixels from the top. Give it a height of just, say, I don't know, 50 pixels, and I'm going to make it 100% wide, so it's a bottom border. I'm going to just move the buttons so they're a child of the border, so you can see them on top, and I'm just going to move them down slightly. So let's just set that to the center, and let's just move them down. Right, so if I was to preview this, you'll see that we've got our 2 buttons. No big deal, we've not really done a lot with it. But what I can do is select the 2 buttons and say, right, okay, if we open up the color tool, I know that we have SVG fill is black, and we've got the SVG, both fill. So I can change this one to alpha 0 and make it transparent. Boom. We've now gone. What I'm going to do is open them up again, and here is our button graphic, and I can now make that black. Apply. Boom. And we've now got a completely different look to the buttons. Okay. The other thing we can do here, of course, because we've made the buttons alpha 0, if I decide to change the background alpha of the border itself, so let's set that to, say, 0.5, you'll see that, actually no, what we'll do is put that up there. That's it. So you can see now that what I've got is, because we've alphaed out the back of the buttons, all I'm showing is the button graphic itself. The actual round circle, what was happening before, or what people were sort of emailing in about and saying, oh, I want to use the background color with the buttons, and let's just add those buttons again. Let's get rid of the next and previous. Just add those again, and what I want to do is just show you the before and after. So let's just bring that. Okay, so let's just select that and bring it up. So that's the before and after. So this is what they look like before, this is what we looked like after. What people were doing was putting a background here and creating it black, and then creating an alpha. So what you had, you could still see the solid of the background of the button. So what it was looking like is, if I grabbed a rectangle, just made the button above that. Don't forget with the tree, the higher the element, the more forward it is. So if you can imagine, what was happening was, let's get to the background we were changing that to a black and making it, I don't know, an alpha of 175, and you could still see the black surround of the buttons, which looked a bit ugly. So again, because of this, I know Christoph went back, and what we did was we made our SVGs able to be colorized within the color tool. So what that does allow us to do now is select the black and set the alpha, as I've just shown you, to 0, and then you no longer see the surrounds. Okay, so again, you can use the same buttons, but you know, if you wanted to, you could create square rectangles and put a button in a square rectangle. So instead of being a round button, you could create yourself square buttons, or just place the buttons in a border. And of course, because you've got full control of it, you can just select your buttons. There we go. I can open up the color tool. Here we can see the colors available that I can select. So we can see that I can, if we open up all of this, I've got the SVG fill area that's transparent already, and then we've got the 2 SVG fills. So this one, like the white SVG, I could turn red. Let's have a look at that, see what that's going to look like. Here we go. So that's those 2 buttons, and then these 2 buttons I could change to something like what was it? Let's do a green. Okay, so there we go, green. Okay, so let's have a look at that in the preview and what it looks like. So you can see we can really mess with our stock buttons. This also works with the simplex button sets as well, but the simplex button set has an extra color. If I just add an auto rotate button, I know this is looking a little bit messy, but don't worry. He says, right, okay, so let's just put that back. Hang on, do that one again. Add the auto rotate. Where are you? I've lost it now. Here it is. Double click, close. That's added. So let's just make sure I'm only selecting that. Here we go. So if I was to look at this SVG with the color tool, you'll see that there's a of course, as I said before, we can't colorize a container, so I have to select the buttons themselves. Right, so if we open this up in the color tool, you'll see that we've got 3 colors available. We've got the black, white, but we've also got a gray. What I can do is if I let's play with the browser zoom. I think I can, here we go, zoom that in a little bit. You can see that there is actually a gray border around the button. So I've got a black line, a white line, and a grey button to give you the drop shadow effect. All right, okay, so that translates into these in the color tool. Okay, so we can have this open, and then we can have I can change those or delete them or do what I want. All right, other ways of changing colors is, as I say, we can double click and we can select a color. What I can also do is double click, select a color, and I can right button click, copy that color, right button click, paste that color. All right, let's put that back, so back to white. So we can copy and paste. We can, as I said before, you can choose the main bar at the top, double click that and change all of that color, or you can pick out individual colors. All right, so that's an important thing to note. Okay, I see we're sort of moving on a little bit. Do we have any questions at all, Karen?
Hi, yes, we do. We have one question from Toyne, is asking how simple can you adjust the font?
What, font color or font as in style?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm seeing if we get a reply back. Style.
Well, that's CSS, so that's not really part of the color tool. But basically, if we had a text box and you selected that, you could select the text element text. So I could change that to a different color. So in here, but what you're talking about styles is not really. It's out of scope for this one, really. And I think Thomas is on the case on that anyway, as far as I can see. All right, cool. So is that it? Can I move on, or?
Yeah, you can move on. Thank you.
Right, lovely. Cheers, Karen. Right, okay, so we've done quite a bit here already, and we're actually flying through this, which is brilliant. Good. So, right, okay, so let's just get rid of that. What I want to talk about now is that we have some elements with hidden colours. Blah, spit that out. And namely the map element. So if I was to click and add a map element, you'll see that it looks like it's got like a background and a border. The actual fact is it doesn't have a background. If we have a look at its properties, it only has a border. However, when I open up the colour tool, you'll see that it's got this red here as well. And it's like, okay, so where does that come from? But if we expand the colours, you'll see that the map element, radar beam, boom, because by default, our radar beam, if I select the map element, is red. Okay, so if I open it up using let's just choose a different map and not use a Google API key. So here we go. So there it is, and this is the map radar color, the radar beam color there. So what I can do is open up the color tool and change that directly from here. So I could change that to a green, click OK, apply, and we're now back to a green one. Of course, it's just one element. You're just as quick really going to the individual color and changing it there. But it's, you know, if you've got a skin and you need to sort of think about picking and choosing different colors for different elements of the skin that you've already built, so you might have multiple elements in the tree, then you can literally just hold down the command or the control button on your PC, click all these buttons like all the innards, go to the color tool there. I can then change the reds to black and the greens to black, and then that should be all of my button innards now set to black. So it can speed up changing colors of various elements within the skins tree. Okay, so that's the hidden radar beam within the map. We also have a seek bar here. This one's not so much hidden. So here's a seek bar. You can see that we've got various colors in here. So if I open this one up, you'll see there's actually quite a few. So what we've got in the seek bar is, if I open up and expand all of these so we can see what they are exactly, is that we have the seek bar background white. So that's this bit. All right. We have the seek bar playhead, which is the red bit there. And then we have the seek bar element download, which is the grey bit, and then the darker grey is the playback. So how far has it got on playback? All right, so when you open up, say, a video, you can see it downloaded in the background, so it'll be the lighter grey going across. And as you can see, you can really go to town on this. And of course, we've also got the seek bar element border as well. So we can actually change a lot of this. And that's just this seek bar element. But as I say, there's a lot of colours there, and the idea of showing you this is to say that, you know, there are colours that you may not necessarily be able to see straight away, or if you know, as we said, you know, if you don't select any of the elements in the skins tree and then you open up the colour tool, you're going to see lots and lots of different colours. So you've got to really be careful about what colours you're changing, and that's why it's always good to expose them, and then you can see here anything that's black. So we've got rectangle borders and text element borders, SVG strokes. You know, it lumps all of those together. As I say, if you double click, that will change everything. That'll be all selected, or you can just change individual elements, or if you hold down the command key or control on the PC, you can select various elements to change in one go. Oh, excuse me. Right, okay. So that's various hidden colours. Now there's another hidden colour that you may or may not want to change. And if I put in a rectangle, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a logic block to this rectangle, and I'm going to say when the mouse over is true, I'm going to change the colour to red. Okay, click OK. So if we have a look at this in the preview, you can see that's exactly what it's doing. Okay, cool. But what does this look like in the color tool? So if I select that individual element, just to stop confusing it with other elements of the same color, I'm going to open up the color tool, and you can see here, if I expand on what these are, it will actually say we've got the rectangle border, which is black. got the rectangle element background logic block. There we go. So at the moment it's set to red. I could double click this and set that to green. Click OK, apply. When I now preview this, it now hovers onto green. So you know, you've got these, as I say, all part of this little heading I've written up of hidden colors, and that obviously includes logic block things as well. So of course we've got logic block backgrounds, borders, and logic block text. So here, if I select the text box, we've made it a funky color here. So let's just change that back to black. But I can give the text box again, mouse over, if that equals true, turn the text to red. Click OK. If I select the text box and open up the color tool, you'll see, as we did before with the rectangle, we've got the text elements logic block. If I quickly preview this, when we mouse in, the text turns to red, and very much like we did before, if I select that, the color tool, I can double click, change that to say green, apply, have a look in the preview, and now the text changed to that green. Okay, that's that section completed. That's all to do with logic blocks and hidden colors. The other thing the color tool can do is it has sliders. All right, now I know that, but we got transform. That's the word I was looking for. We can transform colors. Okay, now as a good example of this, I'm going to click and add an SVG, and it's this blue planet. If I click this, it's a bit big, so let's just resize that by 2. Hold down the shift key, drag to keep its aspect ratio, and then pop it in the middle. Right, so it's blue. Okay, now that's quite a nice SVG, and it's nice and blue, but I might decide that my website's green. All right, so therefore I want that sphere to be green. Now the problem is, if we open up this SVG, if I select the SVG and then open up the color tool, so we're only looking at the colors for the SVG, you'll see it's got quite a few. But what I'm interested in is these colors that make it the blue color. All right, because what I can do is select these individually. So I'll hold down the command key. All right, so that's the really dark blue. So that's a black and a white. I'm not worried about those, but it's the really dark blue and the lighter blues coming down. And I've now got my sliders. I can adjust lightness, saturation, and hue. So if I wanted this to be a greeny color, I could bring this over till I get to a green and apply. And boom, what we've done is we've adjusted all of the colors, but we haven't affected their alphas or anything like that, and we've adjusted them as a whole. So again, if you had a skin that had, I don't know, like an orange theme, you could click all your orange elements and then slide the slider over and then completely change it, just transform the color. So let's do that again. What I can do is change it back again. So let's look at all of the green elements, hold down the command, again, control on the PC, select just those greens and slide it over back to blue. I think it's about there. Click apply and we're back to a blue planet. So as you can see, you can colorize an element even though it's got various alphas. That's the word I'm looking for, and various colors. So we're actually adjusting the colors into relationship with this slider with the color it's starting with. So we're not changing them as such. What am I trying to say? So basically, you know, if you've got a light coloured blue and we want to change it to a light coloured red, we're not making it a solid. So it's changing all the colours relative to their starting points, if that makes sense. But you've just seen exactly what I've just done there. Okay, so that's basically the sliders at the bottom. If I select this, again, let's have another little play. So let's select all of these. We can adjust how dark or bright it is. I can open that up a little bit. If you go too bright, they start all looking the same. So we come down a little bit further and apply, and we've made it a little bit lighter. Now there is a gotcha with this, and that is you can only change the hue of a color. All right, so if you've got something that's black and white, you cannot change it. All right, so let's break this just to show you what I mean. So with the lightness, if I was to whack that right up, everything becomes white. All right. If I was to select apply now, I'll lose all of these individual colors and I'll only have one white element. There it is. All right. So if I open it up, and there it is. All right. Now it's white. If I select it, I can't recover any of the colors. I can change the lightness, make it gray or whatever, but I've now lost the colors. All right, so that's something you've got to think about, is that if you are changing the hue or the lightness of a color, if you go to, if you change it to a white or a black, you lose the ability to change a hue, because obviously hues are colors. Okay, right. So that's basically the color tool. But what I want to go on to next will be exposing colors. So I'll just quickly touch base with Karen, see if we've got any questions. If not, I will carry on.
We don't have any questions, but I have a question. Does the undo button work for that if you accidentally screw up your colors?
Oh, I don't know. Let's find out, shall we? Let's find out. So let's have a let's SVG. Choose the planet. Resize by 2 and bring that back down. Okay. So let's open up the color tool. Screw up your colors. Love that. So let's screw up my colors. Like that. Apply. And now let's use the back button. Yay. Yes, it does. Okay. So you can happily screw things up.
Yeah, so you can screw it up and it works. And then if you do a long press, does it show?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can see where I've deleted an SVG and colorized, so you can actually step back in history.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that's there,
now you
do now. That's the thing with Pano 2 is a clue. If you see a little white arrow pointing downwards on anything, it's click, press and hold. So here in the preview, as an example, the live preview, if I click and hold that, you'll see we've got the live preview. But if you click and press and hold, we can preview as a mobile device. So anything using is mobile will be active. If I deselect that, then it's not, but I wasn't using anything that was using is mobile anyway. But we can also change the size of the preview window. So if I wanted an iPhone in portrait that was only 320 pixels wide, there we go, that's what it looks like. What I will do is, whilst we're here actually, is if you go into Pano 2 VR and preferences, if you go into the skin editor, you can actually edit and add your own sizes as well. This cropped up actually in the forum, I think this morning or yesterday, if I remember, where somebody was saying, I want to build a skin and I want to make it responsive. On other software, what they allow you to do is build 2 skins, basically, one for your desktop and one for your mobile. Of course, with Pano 2 VR, we allow you to build 1 skin, but you can transform certain elements using the is mobile or has touch, so you don't have to have multiple skins. You can have 1 skin and make it work. But if you wanted to test it and what it looks like, you can have your preset sizes here. I don't really do that, because what I like about our color our preview box is it tells you what size you're playing with. So if I was to move it around, I could turn and say, right, well, if I look at something on an iPad, the closest edge on an iPad is 768, because we're talking about the logical screen size of an iPad. So a standard one, not the Pros, is 768. So it's 1024 by 768, regardless of the screen's resolution. That's the logical screen size of the skin. So if I wanted to say have something react on the smallest width, I know that I can say, right, 768. So I would bounce between these 2 areas here and see if in the preview my skin was doing what I wanted it to do. So yeah, that's going off on a tangent. Sorry, but yeah, it just shows you that if anything's got a down arrow on it, you can press and hold and you can do something else. All right.
So we have a question.
Go on in.
Todd is asking, the blue planet appears to have a gradient color. How is that done? Or maybe how's it handled?
The blue planet was an SVG that Christoph gave to me to do this webinar with. But I'm assuming that if we select it and look at the color tool, you'll see that it's made from layers. So it was obviously that color there is a circle that's been put in, and it's built up with layers. And these are all the different colored layers of that image. So that's how they've done it. open the blue colours. Christoph is saying to me, open the blue colours. Well, these are the blue colours. So here we go. So this is so these are the layers. All right, so it's obviously they start off. Right, okay, so if we do that, all right, click the triangle. So here we go, you've got the SVG stroke, so we can change the colours here, as if I'm showing you the right thing. I have Thomas communicating to me in the background. Christoph is communicating to me in the background.
What does stop colour mean?
Stop colour means stop from a gradient. I have no idea. It's a shame that Christoph couldn't come in and tell us, but I have no idea what stop colour is. A gradient stops and starts. Okay, so I would imagine the solid and then going through the.
So each of these bars represents a color within the gradient.
Yeah, by the looks of it. So that would be. Oh, hang on. What's Thomas saying? The edges. You know what? I'm going to leave it as that because I'm just getting confused. But it's.
It's a good question. Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Yeah, thanks for that. Just making me look silly in front of everyone. But you know what? I don't care. I'm easy. But anyway, as you can see, how it's built up is gradients and layers and whatnot. I'm not an SVG expert, but yeah, I make all mine in Photoshop, and they tend to be 2 colours, so which tends to work for me. But yeah, this is quite a complex SVG. So, but yeah, as I say, thank you for Christoph for throwing it my way and allowing me to use it. Okay, so
that's it.
Right, good. Now, what I wanted to talk about now was exposing colours, and what does this mean exactly? Well, if I was to close the skin and choose one of our package skins, so the Silhouette V6, if you go to the skin configuration, you see that we can change the colours because we've exposed them. All right. If I go back to the skin that we were playing with and go, there is no active skin configuration because there's no exposed variables or no exposed colours. All right. So if I built a skin, so this is say my skin, and I wanted to expose a colour of say the red Seek Bar's thumb in the middle. All right. So there it is there. So Seek Bar playhead. What I can do is right button click, and it gives me the option to expose colour as, and I can then give it a name. So let's just call that playhead. All right. If I click OK and apply, save and close my skin, or close and save my skin. Not having a good day today. All right, put that back. I've now got an active skin configuration button. When I click it, you can now see that I've got the playhead exposed, and I can now change that from the outset. So here I'm going to change it from red to for the outset, wrong word, change it from the default red to green. And if I now export this, obviously I've got no, that wasn't a very good thing, was it? I've got no active media, so it won't show. But basically what happens, what I'm trying to show you is that in the skin it's still red. We've only exposed this in the skin configuration. So let me do something that I can show you. So let's go to the rectangle here. Okay, look at the color. So rectangle, go to the color tool. You see we've got the white background. I'm going to right button click expose color. You can see we've got the playhead. I'm going to add a new element. So let's just call it rec back. So for rectangle background, I'm going to click OK, apply, close, save the skin. Now under the skin configuration button, you'll see that we've got the rec background as well. So if I build the output, we see we've got a white. Obviously when I hover over it turns green because it had a logic block, but what I can do now is change the starting color to say red. Okay, now when we create the output, you can see it's now red, and of course it changes green when I hover over it with the logic block. But the got you here is if you were to go into the skin, it's still white. All right, because what we're doing is we're influencing the skin, we're influencing the skin's color using the skin configuration. So basically what we're saying in the color tool is we're going to expose this so we can change it, but we're not physically changing it in the skin. So long story short, it's white in the skin, but it's whatever color you choose in the skin configuration tool. So if you've got a skin and you've changed various colors, and you go into and on the output, and it's lovely and it's exactly what you want, when you go back into the skin, don't be surprised to find that your skin elements are still the normal colors. They haven't changed, because this is only affecting changing of the colors in the skin configuration button. All right, so this is basically exposing. All right, now there's a bit of there is a bit of a gotcha with this. If I right button click, let's do the logic block green. All right, so when we hovered over it, it turned green. So let's expose this color. Let's do a new one, and let's just call this logic. And where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? I click OK. Okay, yeah. So basically, you can now see that I've got the option now to not expose it. So I've got so I've exposed it as a logic. So if I go to apply, close, save, go to the skin configuration button, you'll see the logic there. Again, I'll change that to say black. So when we export, what we expect to see now is our red rectangle. When I hover over it, it turns black, which it does. It will look nothing like that in the skin. If I decide to change things, I would open up the color tool. I can right button click, and I can do not expose. So if you decide not to expose a color, you can do that as well. So do not expose it, boom, and it's gone. Click apply, close. So I'm just going to restart the skin. When I open it up again, he says if I go back to the color tool, you'll see that it's now gone from the not color tool, the configuration button. You'll see that that color is now gone. So you can add colors, expose colors, and you can deselect expose colors. Right, now I was mentioned about a gotcha, and what this is when we were exposing the colors, you saw that we had an alpha. So I'm going to grab two rectangles. All right, I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to change their colors to black. Okay, done that. So the pair of them, black. But this one, I'm going to individually set the background color to have an alpha of, say, 100. All right. So you can see it's now, it's got an alpha, and obviously we've got a solid. All right. Now, if I select both of those and go to the color tool, I could select both of those, expose the color. So let's have a new one. So let's just call it, I don't know, black, because I'm being adventurous. Now, if I don't select alpha and I click OK, all right, what I can do here is if I go to the color tool and I set that to be a green and export, what we should get is a translucent green and a solid green. Well, hey, because it's obeying the alpha. I didn't select it, all right? But if I now go back in and change these two, and let's select both of those and do not expose, all right? Now, if I select both of them again and expose, and now let's just call this, I don't know, actually, it's still got black there. If I cancel this and open it again, that should be gone. Here it is. So if I right button click, he says, so select, right button click, do not expose, accept. And if I select both of these again, right button click, expose as, let's change a new color. So let's just, I don't know, let's just call it border. I know it's not, it's the background, but you know, border back, just for want of a word. But I'm now going to expose it with an alpha. All right. So now if I click OK and click apply, close this and save. Okay, it's still the same color. Hold up 2 seconds. If I go to the border and select a color, you'll see now that I've got the alpha. I can change the alpha. I couldn't before, but now I can. So here you can see that line to tell me that there's an alpha going on there. Okay, so we can change those. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you, and I'm desperately scratching my head on this one because I was playing with this earlier and it was doing exactly what I wanted to do, and now I can't, is with the alpha setting as well, is that if you have, say, several black elements and you've changed the alpha setting, I'm desperately struggling here, so rectangle background, yeah, okay, so we've got both of those, and they are all the same. Okay, I'm lost here, but basically what the gotcha was is if you had the same color and you selected the alpha, even though one had, say, an alpha of 100 and one was a solid, they would then both become a solid when you opened them. For some strange reason, it's not done it here, and it's done what I would expected it to do, and it's perfect. But yeah, I don't know if Christoph or Thomas have seen me do something I shouldn't have done, but it's actually working very well. I can actually... Oh, I see what's going on. Right, okay, yeah. Because I've selected both of those together, if I change those to 255, I can... They will then change together. Here we go. All right, so that's the thing you've got to worry about, because because I selected both of those, I'm now selecting or changing the alpha of both of them. What you would need to do is, if you wanted to keep the alpha of one, you would have to change the color individually, so you'd have to have two of those. So basically you would have to expose that as a different color. So in the color tool you could have them differently. It's a bit like text boxes and text. As we said before, with a text box, if I had a text box, you'll see that it's got black, and when we look at the black, we've got the border and the text. If I exposed both of these together, when I change them in the skin configuration, they would both change together, but it may be that I want the text to be a different color. So what I would have to do is expose that as text, and then I would expose this, let's put new and just put border, and apply that. So what that allows me to do now is, when I open up the skin configuration, I can change the colors individually. Right, okay, I think that just about does the color tool to death. There is, the color tool itself isn't a complicated thing at all, but there was a couple of gotchas in there about the hidden colors and logic block colors and the color of the radar beam. But its main power is completely colorizing a skin, a total skin. So if you had a black and white skin like our silhouette, you can go in there and you can change the whites to greys or something like that. But if you've got your own skin with different colored buttons, and you had all red buttons, and your next customer's website theme was green, you could select all those and then just change that. Now what Christoph is saying to me is right, skin configuration dialog. Right, okay, so what Christoph is saying, why don't I quickly show you this? So if I was to select the silhouette V6, if we have a look at the skin configuration, what I could do is select various elements. So like all the whites I could set to the green. Let's set that to green, but make that a little bit darker. If I click OK, let's just see what this skin looks like. So here we got all the green buttons, but what we've also got here is the defaults. So this is what it looked like before. Hang on, let's just go back. Sorry, so let's have a good look at it. So you can see we've got green within black there. What I can do is go back to the skin configuration, double click on the defaults, and then that returns, or just a single click actually, and that returns the colors back. If I create the output, we're back to white and black. There we go. But again, if you had like different colors, if you had blue buttons, and as I say, and your next customer's website was green, you could actually select all the buttons, use the slider, slide them over and change them all into green and colorize the whole skin to match your customer's website. Okay, I think that's covered the skin, the color tool. I don't think I've missed anything out. I'll just have a little shout out to Thomas and Christoph. Is there anything else I've missed, or is that pretty much well covered it? I think, or Karen, what do you think? Have I missed anything?
No, I think you covered it. I think I think you got everything in there, and and of course you just pointed out how you can customize the skin for your clients. You can use the same skin over and over again. Let's say you have your own set of buttons, and then you can just adapt to their color scheme. And one thing that maybe wasn't noticeable in the color tool or any of the color palettes, the choosing palettes to select a color.
I know what you're going to say now. Yeah, go on.
Is that you can add your the hex color in there, which is useful for web developers working with, or designers, right?
Yeah,
so if your
skin.
Customer gives you all of the
so if
gives
I
you nothing
select
but
that.
hex.
So if you've got a color that you use, you can pick a color, say it's blue. If you use that, you can drag that in there.
Right, and what I'm talking about is
sorry.
the HTML there, the hex number down the bottom.
Okay.
That right there,
right.
that's super helpful. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so is that, being able to pick a screen color is also very cool, yeah.
And be able to put it in your custom colors, because that's now available for any. So as soon as you open up the color palette in this skin, that color is available for it. So if you've made your text border a certain color and it's a custom color, you've used the slider here to match something, or you've used the pick screen color to match it, then you don't have to keep doing that on that certain element. You can just add it to the color swatch at the bottom here, and then just use that color for whatever you want. So that's
so that's
okay.
I think you hit everything, and there aren't any questions. It's a really simple tool. I think it's just a matter of kind of getting oriented to how it can be used, or how helpful it can be when designing your skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that you saw me earlier. I just selected all these buttons, all the black button graphics, and just using the color tool and just changed the whole lot in just a couple of clicks. And also with the package SVG buttons that we have, our silhouette. As I've shown here, you can alpha out the background, and then you can completely transform what this button looks like. You could put it in a rectangle to make it square, or you could put it on a border like this. We can change the color of the foreground, and you can, so you're using the simplex button set in a way that probably wouldn't be recognizable, and it looks completely different, but you haven't had to go and find some more buttons. You've transformed what that looks like.
You can even rotate those buttons up and down. You could have nothing, but anyway, you can get. But Luke has a question, which is a good question. Are custom colors saved in the skin?
Yes. So they can't be saved in, say, a component at the moment. I do believe. I've had chats with Thomas about this. Apparently, in the future, what we're going to try and do is save the colorization in the component. But at the moment, if you add a component to the skin, then you've got to set up the custom color in the skin and save the skin. All right, I've got Thomas coming in on me. So I think he means the custom colors in the dialogue. Can we clarify that? What do you mean?
Luke, do you mean how
what
colors are being saved in the picker itself, or?
Yeah, I think. Where are we?
Rectangle.
Let's just open up any color.
Yeah.
So this one I've put here in the color picker. Yeah.
Are those saved per skin? Maybe that's the question.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's actually saved within palette in the skin editor.
I think it's saved everywhere.
Yeah. So if I go to say something different like the simplex skin, and open up, so I don't know that, and change the color. He says that's not a colour I've exposed. Right, let's expose it. there it is. So yeah, it's saved within Pano 2 VR. So I didn't look up. They're saved in the registry, so yes, they're saved with Pano 2 VR per computer. So there you go. And if you end up with lots of colours and you don't like them, you can always get rid of them by taking that like that, by dragging the white ones, and you can restart another set of colours. There you go. So you can do whatever you want. But I think the idea of having your own custom colour, like your own custom colour swatch at the bottom here, is that you can maintain your own colours, which is pretty cool. All right.
Great.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think
going once, going twice. Anybody? Yeah. if you're not asking a question in the next 5 seconds, it's game over.
You know where to find us.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Okie dokie. Well, that's basically the colour tool. I think I've done it to death. I hope there's something in there that you didn't know before and it was worth your time. But very much appreciate you guys all come in to see our webinars. It makes us, it gives us something to do, really. Otherwise I'm just twiddling my thumbs. I've got no one to ask, no questions to ask at all on support. Yeah, I've got loads, but it's always great to know that we've got people that are interested in our software and want to see what we can do. So
just wanted to, Walter's asking if we have a webinar which handles CSS styles. And if you look in the chat window, I posted a link to our last webinar, which Martin did a long webinar, lots of information, not that it was too long, a lot of information on
no, it was too long,
using
me.
CSS. And there's another tutorial or webinar if you're a little bit more advanced in CSS that was done by Thomas Bradenfeld earlier last year in the summer, I think. So there's quite a few webinars on CSS.
Excellent. Right. Okay. I think that just brings us to what we're doing next time round. We had a little chat about this, and I think what we've agreed on is that we're going to be looking at the Garden Gnome package and what we can do with it. So opening it up in the package viewer and obviously using it in WordPress and various different other ways. That should be quite good if you're into WordPress. But then, if you just want a single file that you want to send to your customer, and they can just download the package viewer, and when they get it, double click and it'll open up, and then they can view things locally on their desktop. So it's quite a versatile format for us. So that's what we intend doing next week, not next week, in a fortnight's time. Not quite sure on the date. I've not got a calendar in front of me, but that's going to be in a fortnight's time. But obviously we'll post it in the Facebook page and forum as and when it happens.
February 24th.
Oh, okay, cool. So there you go, February 24th. So anyway, that's enough from me, and thank you all very much for joining us, as said, and look forward to seeing you all next time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.